As part of this week's assignment, you're going to spend time locating, specifying, and documenting the locations of billboards along the roads and highways of our region. I'm going to provide in Blackboard a scenario you have to follow. You're going to look for actual billboard locations and communicate the locations that you think are best for this project on a map. Let's walk through some of the steps. In Blackboard, there'll be a section called Billboard Custom Location Map Assignment. Before you're watching this video and completing the tasks that are described in this video, make sure you've watched the first video in this series that talks about some of the fundamentals of billboard placement and design. If you haven't watched that video, go back and watch that first. Now, assuming you have a good foundation in the general principles of billboard placement and design, we can go on to the idea of how are we going to find billboards. Now, these billboards have to be specific to this assignment, but they are going to be real locations of billboards in our region. Let's click on the actual assignment, which is called Billboard Map Assignment. When we get there, you'll hear this scenario about how you work for a chain of craft stores, and they've decided to build pop-up holiday stores, pop-up Christmas stores, where they're going to sell things like Christmas decorations and Christmas trees at temporary locations, essentially parking lots and other storefronts that may be vacant or underutilized during the Christmas season. For this first year experiment, the company is going to open 20 of these lots in 6 different areas. Now, you're tasked for buying billboards for 3 specific stores that are located in our region. One's going to be in the Muskegon area, one's going to be in the Nunica area, and one in Marne. If you don't know where those locations are, you can look up all of them in Google Maps. You're going to be looking for billboard locations using real locations provided by billboard companies. The companies you're going to look at include Lamar and Outfront. You're going to look for billboards that will specifically be placed from the period of about November 1st to December 15th. Then I'm giving you a list of how you are going to map out or document those locations so I can see where you located your billboards. I give complete directions about how to do this, but I'm going to walk through the process right now for you. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to open My Maps. This should look familiar to you because this is the same interface we use to map out our customer locations, when we took zip codes of where our customers were located and put placeholders on custom maps. Again, your interface may look a little different for a variety of reasons, including the fact that you may have far less maps than I currently do. This is going to be a new map. So I'm going to say Create Map. Then I'm going to title the map, and you're going to title your map Add Dynamics Fall 2023. Now, in reality, you're going to want to change that semester to whatever semester we're currently in. And then let's put your name, Joe Smith. Of course, you'll want to use your own name. And we'll save the document. The next thing we're going to do is try to find some actual billboard locations. Now, in this scenario, you have specific locations that you should be thinking about. What I'm going to do right here is I'm going to look at other locations because I don't want to sway your opinion on what a good or bad location would be related to your project. So I'm going to open up an inventory system from Lamar. That's one of the billboard companies we were looking at. You can just do a Google search for Lamar and their website should come up, and you'll notice an item on the top called Browse Inventory. It is possible that the name of this link or the way it works will be a little different when you actually build your maps. But keep in mind, the general principles will be the same, and if you run into any roadblocks, let me know. Let's look at the inventory. When we open up the inventory, we'll see a map of the United States. And as we zoom in, Muskegon area, And you can see each of these dots have a number on top of them as you zoom in. And when you zoom in, that's really reflecting how many billboards are in that area. So let's say for whatever reason we want billboards around the West Olive area south of Grand Haven. I can click on this marker right here. You notice I get more markers. I'll click on this 3. And now you see I have more markers. So for instance, right here is a marker with a billboard. And if I click on this, there's actually 2. And these billboards are represented by little icons. And the icons are shaped very specifically to show which way the billboard is facing. What we're looking at here is US 31. That's the road that basically goes from South Bend, Indiana, at the Michigan-Indiana border, all the way up toward Mackinac Bridge. This is a segment just below Grand Haven. And for whatever reason, we were just saying that we want to make sure we have billboards in this area. For your assignment, you're going to probably want billboards in other areas. And you're going to have to justify that based on the location of the stores you're trying to promote. The way these icons are built, these little markers, is the flat side shows which way the billboard's facing. So this road, US 31, is going from north to south and south to north. These 2 billboards represented here, these 2 little circles, are billboards that are facing the south. That means when an automobile is moving toward the north, like from Holland or Grand Haven toward Muskegon, they'll see the face of this billboard. So let's go ahead and click on one of these boards. And we see some really specific things starting to happen here. We see a picture of the actual board. We see another view of where it's located. We see some information about that board, a description of where it's located, the latitude and longitude. That's going to be really important for you in a moment. What kind of board it is. It's a poster style board. And in my previous video, I talked about what a poster style board was compared to a bulletin style billboard. And then it gives a number of impressions. How many people are going to see this billboard? That's probably pretty important to your decision making as well. It's going to tell you if it's illuminated or not. Are there lights on this board? Will people be able to see it day and night or only during daytime hours? We can get more information by clicking on the link that says Photo Sheet. And I'll let that pull up here. And now you get a little better picture of where these boards are located, how they're oriented toward the road. And you'll be able to use that image to help you document this board. Let me go ahead and we're going to close this particular sheet, but we're going to go back to the original board listing. So in order to place a marker on your custom map, we're going to need the latitude and the longitude. So I'm just going to copy the latitude and the longitude, and I'm going to go to the map. I'm going to search for that latitude and longitude. Now when I paste this in, we're probably going to get an error. Let's see what happens. Nothing comes up. That's because the map system wants you to have a comma instead of a slash here. Let's see what happens if we do this. All right, that worked a little better. And now if we zoom out, we see this marker just about where it should be. So one of the things you have to do is when you grab the latitude and longitude with a slash, delimiting those 2 values, differentiating between those 2 values, replace that slash with a comma, and then My Maps will understand it. Now that we have this latitude and longitude on the left-hand side in this panel at the top, we can hit the plus symbol. And that's going to build a more permanent marker there. We want to do a few things with the way this marker looks. One, we want to change the description. Instead of giving the latitude and longitude, which we may keep, in fact, I'm going to copy this out of the title, and we're going to put location down here. And we'll put the latitude and the longitude. Up here, I'm going to do something a little more descriptive. And I'm just going to call it West Olive Billboard facing south on US 31. Now I want more information there. And I'm going to give you specific details about what I want in this section. I may want things like the impressions or the location beyond just the latitude and longitude, but we already have it there. So let's talk about impressions. If we want to include the impressions, how many people are going to see this? We can go back to the inventory and we can just grab this from the inventory, impressions. And we'll make another listing in this editing area, 79,909 per week. Let's clarify that a little bit. We'll just put a little comma there. And we will write it out so it sounds more human in the way that it's being communicated. So 76,909 impressions per week. I'm going to want you to give some general justification. Some of that justification can come from the information provided on the Lamar inventory website. So we'll go ahead and go back here to this area, and we will paste it in there. So now when I save this, we'll get off of that little marker there, and all of that information seems to disappear. However, when we click on it, we now see that it's available, all of that information. Now, one of the things I'm asking for is a picture. You'll add a picture by hitting the little camera icon at the bottom. And this will allow you to find a picture from your computer. So how do I get the picture from Lamar to here? Well, there's a couple ways to do it. Probably the easiest would be just to save this picture by right-clicking on it. And we get the option to save as. And you can save it anywhere on your computer. I'm going to do that right now. Now, I actually have a document folder on my computer called Billboard Assignment, and that's where I'm going to save this image. And because I want to be able to easily find the image, I'm going to rename it before I save it. West Olive Billboard location. And you can call it whatever you want. And now we've saved it on my computer. We'll go back to the map and we'll click the little photo button. And we'll browse my computer to find that image. Again, I've opened up my Billboard assignment location. Click that. And once it's uploaded, it now should be available here, and there it is. Again, when I save this, I can go off of this particular image or marker, and it doesn't look like anything's there, but when someone clicks on it, they get this full information, and that someone will be me, because I'm going to be reviewing all of your specific details about the assignment and the locations you select. Another thing I'm going to want you to do is use a customized icon for placing these. Unfortunately, when we look at this particular marker, this little blue placeholder marker, it really doesn't look much different than the green one down below, the gray one up above, and this orange one for a restaurant up above even further. So we're going to do something else a little different. I'm going to want you to have custom icons that are going to, much like the Lamar icon showed the positioning or the orientation of the billboard toward traffic. I want you to do the same type of thing with these icons. Let me show you how you do that. We are going to go back to our course material. Near the bottom of this assignment, there's going to be an item that says Circle Icons, Google Drive. And I'm going to give you a set of icons you can use. You don't have to use these icons, but this is a good start. These icons would help you to be able to orient your marker so it shows or reflects what direction the sign will be facing. If you click on this, you'll see my icons. And I would suggest you download them all to your computer. For now, what I want is one that points down and to the right. And I see one right there that should do it. It's called Write Down PNG. I'm going to go ahead and download this. And you notice I downloaded that directly to my Billboards assignment folder. You can put it wherever you want. Now that it's in there, we're going to go back to the actual map. I'm going to pull up this marker again, and I'm going to further customize it. Now I can change colors and I can change the icons. There's a whole bunch of icons they provide for us, but we're going to go to more icons. And then I'm going to go to custom icons. I know that my custom icon is in my Billboard folder. I'm going to select it right here. And now it's listed under my custom icons. I could select any of these icons. And before I select my custom one that I just added, let's just say for whatever reason I want a lightning bolt as my icon. Now you'll notice that the traditional map icon has been replaced with a lightning bolt. But that's really not what we want for this assignment. We want something that's going to show the orientation or the perspective of how the sign is associated with the road. So let's go ahead and go back here, go to more icons, and instead of selecting the lightning bolt, we're going to select this particular arrow, because this arrow will generally point in the same direction that the sign will point. And now when we look at this, we see that the icon is pointing toward the traffic that's going to see the sign. Now remember, one of the things you have to include with all of the markers that you place on this map is your justification for why this is a good sign for this organization and their intended purpose of promoting more foot traffic at these pop-up holiday stores. You can start with what Lamar puts in their description, but that shouldn't be the end of it. You should also add your own commentary on why you think, in part based on the earlier video that I gave you, this is a good choice. I'm going to go ahead and close this one. We know this one is down here. I'm going to want you, as part of this assignment, to find inventory both from Lamar and from Outfront, which is another company. So let's look at how Outfront lists their inventory. And the way we're going to do that is a little different, because they don't have a menu item that specifically says inventory or browse inventory. What it will say is Media Finder. We'll use that up in the upper right. When we pull up Media Finder in the navigation, we'll see another similar map to what Lamar had. Now it's a little different because on the Lamar map it had a circle in the Muskegon area, and for the Outfront they have a star in the Grand Rapids area. And part of that is just about their concentration in the market. Lamar is much more concentrated in the Muskegon market. Outfront is much more concentrated in the Grand Rapids market. It doesn't mean that Lamar doesn't have boards in Grand Rapids or that Outfront doesn't have boards in Muskegon. It's just where their concentration is. So we'll go ahead and we're going to click on that star. And then it gives you a breakdown, a little different than the Lamar breakdown, saying we have in this area this many boards. We have 568 boards that are bulletins. Remember, those are the wider boards that we described in our last video. It has 570 that are called posters. Those are the narrower billboards, as we also described in the previous video. So let's look at the location of posters. When we do that, you can see the concentration. And of course, there's a concentration in the Detroit area, the Flint area, but we're going to focus on Grand Rapids. And as we zoom in, we can start to see individual boards. Let's just assume that we are going to look for a board around the Allendale area. And we can click on this little marker here. When we do, we see two more little markers pop up. One's facing toward the east and one's facing towards the west. Makes a lot of sense. A lot of billboards, most billboards are double-sided. They try to catch the traffic going in both directions. We're going to assume that we're looking for a billboard for traffic that's going toward Grand Rapids from the west to east. So we'll select this board right here. When we do, we get another little pop-up. Again, this interface is a little different than the Lamar interface. And I just want you to get a little familiarity with both. I'm having you select both a Lamar set of billboards and a Outfront set of billboards. Now you notice there's no latitude or longitude information here. But we got to kind of take a guess. What are we looking for? First thing we're going to try is the download photo sheet. When I click on that, it's giving me an indication that it's generating a report. In my experience, it's never really completing the process of generating the report, but there is a report that's downloaded to my browser. Depending on how your browser is set up, you may actually be asked, where do you want to save this report? This shows me the billboard that I'm looking at, and it has the latitude and longitude. Now remember, in the Lamar system, they had the latitude and longitude on one side, or on one entry, and you had to remove the slash and replace it with a comma. In this case, it gives those entries as two different items. We'll actually just copy those two different items in, and I'm going to go back to my map. When I do, I'm going to place it in here, and of course that's not going to work, right? When I push search, it doesn't come up. What we need to do is we need a comma delimit or separate the two measurements, latitude and longitude. So we'll put a little comma here, and now we should be able to accomplish the same thing. And it brings us to, hopefully you can see it there, there's a little green marker in the middle of the screen, and that is your new marker for this particular billboard. Now, a couple things to think about is that we need to add a place for this, right? And so I'm going to actually add this. I'm using the plus symbol on the left. And there we go. And we can start doing things like editing the title. And we're going to call this M45 Billboard near Allendale. Now, everything else that you want to accomplish, you're going to accomplish in somewhat the same way. Once we save this, we can then edit things like the icons, the colors, the descriptions, and we can add photos. Remember, any icon you use should give me some kind of representation of the direction that this board is facing. Photo sheet. Now, when I took the photo from the out front photo sheet, when I took the photo from the Lamar, I was just able to right click. Well, the reason I was able to right click and save is because in their case, it was actually an HTML page. This is a PDF. So we need to figure out a different way to get this image off the PDF. And there's a variety of ways you could do this. I'm just going to use the snipping tool that's built into Microsoft Windows. If you're using a Mac, there's other snipping tools you can use to take kind of a photo screenshot. But I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to hit new, and I'm just going to grab a copy of this image. Now on my snipping tool I have it, and from here I can go ahead and save it. And each snipping tool is going to be a little bit different. If you get hung up on this and can't figure out how to accomplish it, let me know. I'm going to save this. Now keep in mind, when I save that to the Billboard folder, you can save it wherever you want. Just make sure you know where it is, because we're going to need that in just a moment. We're going to go here and customize this. All right, here's the Allendale Billboard location. I'm going to open that up. And there, it inserted the Billboard location. Again, now whenever I close this, it doesn't appear there's anything there. But when I click on it, let's see, what did I do wrong there? Let's try again. I'm going to save this. I maybe didn't save it last time. I'm going to close it. Now when I pull it back up, there's the picture. And remember, you're going to want the description, you're going to want to put the location in. Even though I use the location to find this particular spot on the map, I want to make sure that I specifically talk about it. I want to make sure that I have a good description about why I like this billboard location. Again, you can start with the information the billboard company provides you, but it's really important that you accent that with additional personalized information from you why you think this is a good location. So I'm going to go and I'm going to get the Lamar information. And they say, this is going to target the students of the fastest growing university in the state, Grand Valley. This road not only carries commuters to Grand Valley campus, but also serves as a popular route toward the lakeshore communities, including Grand Haven. So that could be important depending on the specific business you have. And we'll put that information in the description. All right. And again, now when we are not clicking on this particular marker, we don't see anything. When we click on it, we see the picture, we see the description, and going forward, we'll also see things like your justification for the board, the location for the board, the number of impressions. All of that should be there. Now, one of the things you may be thinking is, where is the customized icon? And we'll go ahead and open this back up and then click here to customize the style. We go to more icons, and we're looking for an icon that's actually pointing toward the left or pointing towards the west, because that's the way the board points, so that traffic that's going to the east sees the board. Okay. The problem here is when we look at customized icons, we don't have an icon that points towards the left. So how do we solve that problem? Well, we could go to custom icons and browse for one, but when we browse, we'll notice that we don't have that saved. So how do we do this? We need to go back to the assignment. Remember, in this week's assignment, I've included a bunch of icons, and you need to download the ones that are appropriate. Now, what I would suggest probably is to download them all. We can download the up arrow. And since we have a place to store them, it should store right where we want it. But what we really need here is an arrow that's pointing toward the left. So let's look for a left arrow. And we have it right here, and we'll put it in the downloads. And then now we will be able to go and find that icon, or we go to more icons, and then custom icons, and browse. Then we will find the icon that we just saved. And you notice we have a left-facing icon, so we can bring that in, and we want to use the left-facing icon. We'll push OK, and awesome. Now we have this left-facing icon. And when we click on it, we get all the information about that specific location. Now, as we zoom out, we see that we have created 2 billboards. And on each one of these, we can click on it and find out information about that specific board. This is now your custom file. What you're going to need to do is share this file with me. You go up to the share button in the top left, and we're going to share it with anyone that has this link. So it becomes a public share. And you're going to copy that link and paste it into Blackboard. That's it. But make sure before you share it with me that you've actually completed all the steps in the assignment, all the customizations. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to help walk you through this. It can be a fun and challenging assignment. There's a lot of pieces to it, but I know you're going to be able to do it, and I hope it'll help you appreciate one of the other ways that we use maps as part of advertising research and evaluation. Let me know how I can help. Have a great week.